Christ be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Good News according to Luke.
Praise to you, O Christ.
When the angels had returned to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go straight to Bethlehem and see this event that God has made known to us." And they hurried, and they found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in a manger. And once they saw this, they reported what they had been told by the angels concerning the child. All who heard about it were astonished at the report given by the shepherds. And Mary treasured all these things and reflected on them in her heart. And the shepherds went away, glorifying, praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as they had been told. The good news of Christ Jesus.
Praise to you, O Christ.
So last year at Christmas, it would have been unthinkable for us not to gather in our sacred space and sing our Christmas carols and bless a nativity scene. Now, with the surging pandemic, it is unthinkable to gather. So here we are on Zoom. And if you're like me, our preparations for Christmas might have been a little muted this year, not quite what we've done in other years. And all of this colors my, well, and maybe perhaps your understanding of Christmas. Because I am bringing all that we have experienced over the last several months with me into this Christmas. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Upon those who dwelt in the land of gloom, the light has shone. Thus spoke the prophet Isaiah to us tonight. The whole earth has become this land of gloom this year. We need to acknowledge the loss and the grief and the fear that is still percolating around our world. And I know that no homily and no singing of Christmas carols has the power to dispel the darkness completely. Yet, with this Christmas feast that we celebrate together, we're reminded that God will go to extraordinary lengths to let us know that we are loved. What we have to offer one another this year is Christmas courage. This is the courage that comes from knowing that God is with us. Now, while our lives can be burdened and confusing and frustrating and frightening and disappointing, we also remember that they are sacred. Because of the coming of Christ Jesus, we now know that love and human life belong together. The desire we have to see friends and family, to gather as church again, to just get back to being with people, perhaps having those hugs again. All of this is just a shadow of God's desire for a relationship with us. And Christmas is about God's desire to be with us. It's God's invitation for us to form a family relationship through Christ with God, with one another. Now we began tonight, many of us starting at 6:30 and some of us joining at the last minute, by hearing and maybe even singing along with traditional Christmas carols. These are the kind of carols I used to sing as a child. They have never gotten old for me, and I still love them. And I remember when people would get together to sing, not just at Christmas and singing Christmas carols, but people would get together to sing out of friendship and to lift up each other's hearts. Singing them this year, while separated, recalled for me that life is fragile and life is unpredictable. And when we are together, how much we should cherish that togetherness. So it's with Christmas courage that we remember God is with us. This is the continuing reality that we are celebrating this night. The Christmas story gives us the pattern of how God interacts with humanity. Christ comes to us as a vulnerable baby. This shows us that God comes in unexpected ways, ways that are easily overlooked. I often remember that Christ was present with us for some 30 years and no one even noticed. God is at work right now, still changing us, loving us, blessing us, and God can go unnoticed. We often fail to recognize God's presence. For me, it's often by looking back over my life that I see where God has been, where God was helping me through something. I've lived long enough now to have many occasions where I can look back and say, there, but for the grace of God, that's how I got through that. The other thing I've learned is that the promise we are given by Christmas needs our active involvement if it is to be fulfilled ever. We can join with God in this care for our world, in the care we have for one another. And I know it is not coming to church that changes the world. It's as we are living in the world and loving the world that we make a difference. We come to church to be equipped for the work. We come to church to be equipped for the work of Christ that God means to continue in our world. Whether that is helping our neighbors, wearing our masks, contributing to our food banks, shopping for someone because they can't go out shopping these days, making gifts or cookies or something for Camp Nickerson for the homeless camp. Or sometimes it means joining with others in the work, the struggle for justice, peace, and environmental balance. Now, we in our Emmaus community, I think we are beginning to believe that everyone can do something, no matter how small, to move the world in the right direction toward justice, peace, and love. All we have to do is lean into our Christmas courage that's being renewed right now and for the next 12 days of Christmas. Allow your courage to be renewed and your resilience and your endurance so that we can get through the next several months. And look for those small ways, those little things that come up during everyone's day that move us towards the beloved community of God. And now I will open it up for a very brief sharing time. And perhaps you want to just mention some little thing we could do. Or is there a way that Christmas courage has borne you up in your life? Are there ways that you have looked back and seeing, wow, God was there. God got me through that.